Geoholic.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back with one of our best friends ever.
I mean, really close
Geospatial hero
Yes.
is how he's being referred to.
One of my geospatial heroes,
Indeed,
I can honestly say that.
Mr. Rami Tamimi, thank you for coming and joining us, Rami. I know you're a busy guy.
It's a pleasure to be here. I don't know about Geospatial Hero, though.
Hey, embrace it, my friend. Embrace it. How you been?
Good. I'm doing well. How have you guys been?
Doing good. Busy.
Awesome. It's been a busy week. I'm sure it has been for you, too.
Oh, my God, yeah. I've been running around here with my camera, just recording everyone I can.
Great content.
But a great conference, honestly. Awesome. There's so many great people to meet here and so many great companies to talk to and learn from.
Yep. How's your YouTube channel doing?
It's doing great. Awesome. Yeah, we've taken on more sponsors. We've created more content. We've grown a bigger community.
Nice.
And it's great. This conference, I've run into so many of the viewers, and it's always nice to see what they're doing and how they're benefiting from the content in their own way. So it always gives me some nice validation that what we're doing is good.
Yeah. Are you still working in the education realm?
I am. I'm doing a lot of online education now. So I just launched my online course. So if you are interested, the surveyschool.com. I'm actually teaching courses now about, introduction to surveying and trying to kind of create a resource for students or technicians or even professionals that are trying to learn more about surveying. So I've really pivoted into the online space. I just feel like that's where the future lies.
So are these accredited?
They're not accredited. No, they're not accredited. They are designed kind of to elevate and expedite the learning process. So if you're someone that is not necessarily looking for accreditation, but you need the information to help you, get started in your career or to even improve your skill set, this is an alternative for you. It's much more affordable. It's, at your own pace. And, I hope that we get to that point at some point. But, starting out, we just want to get the information out there so that people have some more resources to learn from.
Yeah. Is this like a video platform type thing? It's not a live class.
Yeah, it's not a live class. Yeah, it's definitely, you watch the videos when you're ready. And they're structured similar to kind of like a PowerPoint presentation, but then also demonstration. So depending on the topics that we're talking about, if you're going into talking about traversing and doing a traverse calculation, then, you're seeing the math being broken down. Yep. But if we're talking more practical work, how we're able to set up a total station, then you're actually seeing field videos, of me doing the work. So similar to what you see on YouTube, which is free content. I encourage everyone to start there. But if you're looking for the next step, you're looking to level up your game, it's here. It's ready to go.
No pun intended.
Right. And we've been doing pretty good on puns today. Yeah. So what do you see for the future of the content for the YouTube channel? Like, are you going to continue doing more product stuff or get more into education, or how are you going to evolve there?
Yeah, both. I mean, I think that the products are helping us get more exposure, get more things to play with, more sensors to get involved with. For me, I'm a big advocate that surveyors should be using some of the more modern sensors. So having companies sponsor us and giving us the sensors to work with, we can then create educational content for the viewers. So it works great for both sides.
And so who's your target demographic for these courses?
So right now, students definitely, I want to be like an asset for them. So while they're in school, they can also, learn. But anyone really that is watching the YouTube channel, if you're a technician and you work as a crew chief and you want to kind of learn something new, maybe you want to get into drones, I have some free content that can get you started. And then if you're looking to get maybe your 107, you want to level up that game. So then you might go into the courses and get some more in-depth content to learn from. So I don't really have I like to think that I have a broad audience.
Yep.
I have people in software. I have people that are completely different markets than the one I'm in, but they're benefiting from the surveying that they're learning. So anyone that thinks that it's relevant for their work.
Yeah. Love it. There's a huge need there. So and you're just the person to fill it.
Yeah. I try my best.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, what's your schedule like? How many of these kind of conferences do you go to throughout the year?
Yeah, so I've been going to a lot more now. It's broken down into two different, there's the business and industry conferences, which I think this is one of them. Mm-hmm. I was at Intergeo. I know I saw you guys at Intergeo. Yeah. Too bad we didn't get a chance to talk, but we were both very busy at that conference.
Shocking, right?
that was an intense conference. My God.
It was huge.
But I also go to academic-based conferences too, so ISPRS conferences where I publish my research, and I spend a lot of time talking to professors and other research students, So there's it's a very different world, but at the same time, it is connected because that research and that academic work is what really drives the the intelligence that happens in our industry. So I love to be involved in both.
And you did a presentation yesterday here at this event, right?
I did.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I presented on basically the state of the surveying and geomatic curriculum with online education. And, I basically talked, generally about just how online education has become a necessity and in many ways, and that it doesn't have to be the whole course. It could just be resources, right?
Yep.
I looked at like kind of the structure of today's education system, and you see adjunct professors are really taking over most of these programs. They're working professionals that have like a master's degree and some level of educational experience. So they're really the ones that are holding ground for most of these programs. Well, they're limited to the location that they're in. So if they were online, now they can reach as many students that want to meet them as possible. And, my talk essentially was encouraging these adjunct professors or anyone that would, aspire to be one to look at an online platform to put out that information and put out that education.
Yeah. Love the passion, right?
Yeah. So what do you think, what do you think is the current state of the...
Well, every program is different, right?
Sure, right.
And like you look at surveying, it's got its own issues. Remote sensing, it's got its own issues. And when I say issues, I mean like the logistical
right.
issues of like keeping a program sustained with students and with professors. But what I see more and more of is they're looking at professionals like industry professionals and really pushing them to get education like a master's degree so that they can qualify to teach as an adjunct professor.
Okay.
Penn State was the big push during the discussion. We had a panel discussion. Penn State was like, we have a master's online, and we encourage you professionals to take it so that you can become professors and help keep these programs alive. So that's the state of it right now.
And do you think that is the critical step to keeping the programs alive?
I think it's a temporary solution. I think truly, like Ken said, hey, is your school accredited? And it isn't right now, but it would need to be at some point because I think online schools are going to become the future.
Yeah. Right.
Totally agree.
Well, and I think the model is that working model of a company wants to bring on someone that has an interest and wants to foster that interest, and the more online availability there is, the better it's going to work because we still want to have the guy work. Right. And end up with something at the end that he can use.
Exactly. And that is what is going to keep the industry alive. I'll tell you about my dad's journey. He was a crew chief in 2004, and he decided, you know what, I want to become a professional surveyor. So I need to go back to school. He went to Michigan Tech's online program. And back then there was no the internet was there, but it wasn't like how it is today.
Right.
They had VHS tapes sent to the local community college.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And that was how he did his online school was he would watch these VHS tapes.
Yep.
And for 4 years, he studied surveying online and got his degree from Michigan Tech University, even though he lived in Detroit, which is like a 12-hour drive. Yeah. And that was like the earliest exposure that I'd seen to online education. And it worked for him, and it worked for several surveyors across the country. So especially in the Detroit area, because we don't have a survey school in our city. So it's proven to work. It's needed to work, and it's the only thing that I think will be a long-term solution to the state of surveying in the educational space.
Does everyone else agree with you?
Probably not. That's okay.
Rami's a disruptor.
Hey, somebody has to be.
Exactly.
That's the only way you can get change in this world,
Yep.
And you got a whole room full of people here. Everyone's saying the same thing, that, hey, something's got to change. And then the guy that comes around and actually tries to facilitate it, it's no, we don't want to change.
Let's talk about reality capture just a little bit.
Sure.
Don't you think this needs to be standardized in some way? I feel like there's a lot of people out there just picking up, a piece of this hardware, going out there doing scans, not worried about control. It just seems like it's kind of the wild, wild west.
It is. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
And I think the problem, it's not a problem, but it's the byproduct of the ease of use for some of these systems.
Yep.
I mean, some of these systems, it's plug and play.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I love that. I think that the easier we make it, that the more accessible it'll be. But then you run into that issue of, are they doing it correctly? Are they collecting this data and following the steps needed to make sure the data is georeferenced, ensure that, it is going to work, in relation to itself, right? Do they understand the difference between accuracy and precision? Do they know how to project this into a coordinate system? These are all things that the plug and play model doesn't really teach you. And you do end up with companies and people that are just kind of collecting data, calling it good, and selling it for cheap. And it hurts us, and it hurts the reputation of reality capture. Because now, as an old school surveyor, you're going to look at some of this data and say, this entire industry is junk. And that's not true. It's just the person that did it didn't do it correctly. You talk to a surveyor that does reality capture, they're going to put in the due diligence needed to ensure that the data is accurate. Now you see where the benefit of reality capture is.
But you don't get that benefit unless you have the accuracy with it, right?
Correct. Which is, I go back to my entire premise here is I'm here to teach people about surveying so that they can do it right. They all have scanners. Okay, guys, how about I make it so easy for you to learn about how surveying works so that now you can incorporate that. And I'm not saying go do it if you're not, qualified to, but at least understand it, know what to look for. So when your data is messed up, you can then call your surveyor and say, hey, I watched Rami's video. He was saying that I needed to check X, Y, and Z. I'm having problems here and here. You make it easier for the surveyor to help you out, So education to me is like knowledge. And the more knowledge you have, the more ability you have to perform and to create good data for the industry. People will appreciate it.
Well said. Well said. We had a pretty heated argument, remember, at the RCM party the other night. It was good. It was good. You should have been there, man.
Oh, yeah, just to see it.
You'd be like, Kent, settle down.
Kent calls me. He's like, hey, Rami, come here. So I'm like,
because
all right.
he's going to have your back, right?
Well, I had no idea what was going on. He really didn't brief me on anything. He's just like, I have a job for you, and I want you to give me a bid on it. I was like, all right. And he told me, what was it, 8 hours of field work?
Day in the field, day in the office.
Yeah, day in the field, day in the office,
control.
Quality control. How much would you charge for it? I immediately pull out my phone and go onto my calculator. I'm going to bid this job, right? I'm assuming it's a basic job. Everything is normal. There's nothing crazy. I come back and I tell him I would charge $5,200. He just jumps with excitement. See, I told you, $5,000. I told you. I was like, okay, good. I did well.
If you're leaving the office for less than $5,000, you're not doing yourself. Oh my God, that was so funny.
I know. Don't get you started, right? So what else are you excited about?
What am I excited about? I'm really excited to see the continued integration of technology in our industry. I think it's been several years now. I think every surveyor has heard about the new technology that's coming out. This year, AI has kind of really taken over, and people are starting to understand it more, see its capabilities. So I think the AI component of technology is going to be a huge help to us. Again, we go back to we have to make sure we're doing it correctly. We're following the proper procedures. AI by itself could be complete junk if you don't have some guidance behind it. But that is going to be the thing that I am most excited for. And coming to these conferences and seeing what some of these companies are doing and the way that they're, helping our industry, I think is great. So I hope to keep doing that for the year.
Yeah. Awesome.
Absolutely.
Man. Love seeing you.
It's always good to see you, man.
Guys. I love what you guys are doing. I love having conversations with like-minded people, and keep it up. I think we all appreciate it.
Yeah, same to you.
You do the same, man.
Appreciate it, guys.
A Geo hero.
That's right.
Cool.
All right, we're back. This is gonna be a great conversation.
Oh,
Super
I've
excited.
been looking forward to this.
Yeah, this is gonna be a good one. All right, I'm gonna let you guys do some quick self-introduction. So just name who you're with and kind of what you do. And Pat, I'll let you go first.
All right, Pat Gaylord. I'm the Geomatics Service Excellence Leader for David Evans and Associates, based in the Portland office of David Evans.
Nice. Mr. Byrd?
John Byrd. You can call me JB. And I'm the federal lobbyist for the National Society of Professional Surveyors. The firm that employs me is Miller Lindholm Capital Strategies, where I serve as president. We have other clients as well in the Beltway DC corridor.
And you've been working with surveyors for how long?
Well, the surveying, mapping, geospatial community since 2005.
Okay.
In 2012, NSPS brought on our firm to represent them in Washington, D.C.
Okay, that's right. That's about the time we met for the first time, I think. It was at Hill Day. They still do that, right?
Right.
Yeah, with NSPS.
Yeah, and
So
JB
much
and
fun.
I met at that. I'm the Oregon director for NSPS now, too.
That's right.
So we've been working together closely the last couple of years.
Yeah. So, JB, I'm curious, your background. Did you have a survey background before you got into this?
None whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
The closest thing would have been, I think, 8th grade earth science class where I had to do a clay model of the Roanoke River Valley in Southwest Virginia and actually take contour maps and
Oh,
actually
there you go.
sculpt something that resembled a river valley.
Now they got virtual sandboxes for that type thing. You see those?
Exactly. Right.
Long time
It's
ago.
come a long way. So working with surveyors or folks in the geospatial industry in general, talk about that.
Well, clearly,
Are we a fun group to work with?
not only a fun group, but a very educated and motivated group and knowledgeable. And I'm not any of that. So I have to leverage the strengths of the community to actually go and put that into play when I ever visit members of Congress or staff, or if it's a federal, state, or local unit of government.
Got it. And what would like a typical day be like for you? If there is such thing as a typical day.
There really isn't. The Congress is either in session or it's in recess. And then based on all of that, there's a lot of fluctuating circumstances. But, if you can get into D.C., the earlier the better. If you can get out of D.C., the earlier the better. But there's always something going on in Washington, D.C. And just got to maximize your time.
Got it. And what are some of the hot topics at this point in time?
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the fact that the NSPS Day on the Hill is set for Tuesday, April 23rd.
It's coming up.
And
You good?
Yep, they're fast.
Exactly, just around the corner. And the 3 issues that we're going to be taking to the Hill that day, number 1 is monument preservation and how it impacts not just Western states, but every state, but different versions of that. The licensure issue, professional licensure. And even though we're trying to tackle it from a federal point of view, it really is a state issue, but we're trying to work on a federal resolution that would help each state society take on the deregulation movement. And then the third issue is really exciting when you take a look at workforce development. And it's basically, if folks are familiar with the Transition Assistance Program in DOD, it's known as TAP, we're trying to basically create a pilot program to help servicemen and women and their spouses as they move out of service in the armed services and move into civilian life. The natural home for a certain version of military occupation service codes that use topo and all sorts of different elevation awareness would be the surveying profession. And we're trying to find a way to fast track those folks into the profession.
That is awesome.
It is indeed. We talked about Day on the Hill a couple of times. Pat, you've done it before. Talk about your experience with that and, just how rewarding it is.
The first thing I would say is JB kind of sells himself short on how he can sell the surveying profession, because when you hear him talk to Congress people, he sounds just like a surveyor. So he does a great job for us and really represents us. What I've learned with Day on the Hill is we have to be tenacious. None of this stuff happens the first time, the second time. We need to stay in front of our Congress folks and bring these issues every year, and we'll chip away at it, and eventually someone will pick it up and represent us and take it to the floor. And the 3-depth modeling is probably my first and biggest success and experience with that. We worked on that for several years before it finally got passed, and the economic impact of that, the benefit to the surveying profession and things, has been huge. Probably we underestimated it when we were pitching it in Congress, based on what the Congressional Budget Office has come up with since.
I want to circle back on something you said there and the importance of us becoming involved, being tenacious. A lot of people fall into the trap. It's like, I'm just one person. What difference can I make? What do you say to that?
Well, one thing I would add is the coolest thing about the Day on the Hill that I found is we hear all the stuff on the news and it's, everybody's fighting with everybody. But when you're walking the back halls of Congress at the House congressional offices and things, there's every walk of life, every person in society is there pitching their little thing to their congressperson. And it's really cool to see. And it's the part that we never hear about. It's how it was all set up, but it's the part we never hear about in the news. So,
And 2 angles to that. Number 1, if we're going to go and visit a member of Congress or senator from Oregon, that's the constituent. And that's what the members of Congress are supposed to listen to and serve are their constituents. My job is to help represent and try to communicate what the issue is. But quite frankly, there's no better statesperson for the issue than a constituent. And that's where you have the members of Congress are good at what they do. Pat is great at what he does, and they've got to meet in the middle somehow. What we always say about getting involved, we consider politics a relationship. So just like a client, if you have a relationship with a client, you try to enhance it and build upon it. If you don't have one, you're a prospect, and you basically have to start a relationship and continue it throughout. So it really is incumbent on getting motivated folks who know what they're talking about, become a citizen activist and go to the Hill.
And this is true at the local and state level too. We need to build those relationships as surveyors, so when survey issues come up at the state level, we can go call those folks that represent us in the state legislature and already have that relationship, so we can just hit the ground running with them.
Yeah. So you talked about those issues in the big three: preservation of monuments, the deregulation, and the workforce in DOD. I have to believe that who's going to say no to any of those three, and especially the third one? Doesn't that check all the boxes for people in Congress where they can find a need, STEM jobs? I mean, doesn't that, who's going to say no to that? And I guess my question is, how is the feedback, or what's the response that you're getting?
Overall, it's been positive so far. The issue is the timing of it. When we've gone to the Hill and getting something secured, and say a big vehicle like the defense bill, what's known as National Defense Authorization Act. That's the target, the NDAA, the annual defense bill. The good thing is that what NSPS has at its back is great constituent connections to members of Congress that are in positions to be helpful. And so that's our job, is to help connect the dots, but then bring in, the Pat Gaylords of the world to come in and actually make the pitch in person. And because the members of Congress are supposed to hear from their constituents and then hopefully act on that, that's the next step. And actually this Friday, I'll be back in D.C. talking to an office from an influential member of Congress, a different state than Pat's. But
We'll forgive you.
but it's going to be our main ask of that office to help kind of get things kicked off for the next version of the defense bill.
Interesting.
And for context, sorry about that.
Go.
For context with that, the first two issues we've pitched a couple of years now, 2 or 3 years on these to try and get traction with them. And the military issue, this is the first year that we are bringing that to Congress. And that came out of the Workforce Development Committee last year during our spring and fall meetings.
How serious is the deregulation talk getting? At the different state levels. I mean, I know in Arizona, just not that long ago, it was brought up, those conversations started to happen. And in Arizona, like, the surveyors just don't have a very loud voice, right? So I got a group of us together, and we kind of rode the coattails of the engineers and the architects, because they provided the support that we needed so that our voice could be heard. Is this being discussed at other states? Is it becoming a serious issue?
It already is, and it's continuing to worsen. Mm-hmm. So that's why the incentive right now is to help our state societies out with something that says, hey, members of Congress or a Senate member is literally putting a stake in the ground, knows the issue, and even though it won't have downstream value legislatively, the goal is to give every single version of a state society the opportunity to use it in talking points to say, look, this is not just a state issue. Presidents from both parties have gotten involved. It's now a federal issue. Let's have something that goes on the record and it basically provides an understanding for context, public health, welfare, and safety, why the surveying profession should be protected, and a resolution that would go on the record that then could be leveraged at every state capital.
Gotcha.
Man. And all right, so I'm just curious. We touched on the second two, or the two of the three. What about preservation of monuments? You said, Pat, that's been brought up before. Like, talk a little bit about that and what the traction is.
I'm going to let JB start off.
Well, quite frankly, I first heard about the issue when I was in Oregon, visiting one of the state conventions, and folks were talking about the wildfire issue and the devastation and the destruction of survey marks. Mm-hmm. And so that's when I first heard about it. It was literally a Western state raising it to my attention and said, hey, can we get some traction on this in D.C.? And so I'm thinking that might have been 6, maybe 8 years ago. So I was aware of the issue. A lot of folks in NSPS either come from a wildfire-prone state or a flood-prone state or a combination. So it really was a national issue. And so what really kind of got some traction recently was Lahaina in Hawaii.
Ask about that.
And,
That's right.
And what's going on with that. And that really is front and center of a lot of folks' attention in Congress and federal agencies. So, so it's something that impacts every state. It's a different version of preservation or destruction in every state. But we're trying to work with FEMA and then Department of the Interior, USDA, the Forest Service, anyone that would have a connection to some version of a hazard that's going to hit something, and then how do you react to it? Making sure the surveying profession is at the table to hopefully prevent unnecessary loss and destruction of monuments.
And this started out as a public land preservation bill. The way it was first pitched was for public land survey monuments. But what's really brought it to light is the 2020 fires in Oregon, where whole communities were wiped off the map, and the Hawaiian fires. How do you put these houses back? How do you get this all put back together? And if you just go clear out the debris with a bulldozer, there goes all the monuments. Yep. And now people can really understand what we've been trying to tell them.
We've had a lot of interaction in our membership. And just to show you kind of the regional, not divide, but the regional convergence, we had lobbying activities from California and West Virginia at the same time in the same offices. So anytime you can get states as diverse as West Virginia and California to team up on the same issue, that was a great narrative to take to Capitol Hill.
So how do you decide, what is the decision-making process when it comes to deciding what issues you want to take to Capitol Hill?
So Pat mentioned he's a director representing Oregon for the National Society. Every state has a version of a Pat. I can't say that. Can I say that?
One of a kind. One of a kind.
So
not nearly as handsome, obviously.
Yeah, 49 people trying to be Pats.
So what we try to do at NSPS at the federal level is to get the Government Affairs Committee, which is a formal committee run by Mark Sargent of New Hampshire, former resident of NSPS. And we get together at our headquarters in Fairfax City, Virginia. Tim Birch comes over. So the four of us get together, John Pelletiello, the team at Miller Windhold. The four of us sit down and walk through every single issue. And there are lots of them. And they show up in the director's government affairs update. It's about a 13 or 14 page list of different issues. So how do we get down to 3?
Yeah.
And that's where you have to really prioritize and get feedback from the rank and file, not just membership, but the rank and file directors and other folks that are a part of the XCOM committee and whatnot.
I mean, is it really a squeaky wheel thing? Whoever's squealing the most?
So it can be, but when we talk through the 3 issues, what should be really appealing for any member of Congress or senator, none of these 3s cost a dime.
Right.
It's all about policy instead of funding.
Right.
And so that's very applicable to the budget circumstances that are underway not nationally, but obviously through Congress. Yeah. So that was another kind of item that these are 3 hot button issues, no doubt about it, at the top end of the priority list, but also politically, they're actually much easier to take to the Hill because they don't involve dollars that are going to upset the budget.
And then it gets more into that timing thing you're talking about. You got to be in that sequence. And if you're not in that time, if it affects the budget, then you're out, right?
It's all about how can the taxpayer money be spent more efficiently. It's not asking for new money.
And when we've gone to meet with our representatives, often they're quite clear. If you're here to ask for more money or something that's going to cost a lot of money,
there's a line over there and it's long.
Yeah, you're at the end of the line and it's a long one. So when we can come with these issues that are solving social problems and solving surveying problems and really pitch to them the value to the overall community, we get a lot better listen from them.
Yeah. Good stuff.
And especially when they have positive economic impacts. Like if you know where those monuments are, I mean, that all relates to tax income. And you're talking about putting more people to work in a profession that needs it. That's influx of money, not the other way around, right?
Right. And as John said, this also, you can take this to FEMA and show how you're saving FEMA money with the monument preservation issue.
Yeah, exactly.
So overall, NSPS is structured to really take strong leadership at the highest levels of the setup, and then go out and actually find all sorts of other issues that really are more grassroots. And the goal is to try to meet in the middle. What's really important at the congressional level, but what's even more important at the state and local level, and if there's some synergy on issues, that's another thing that we take into account. But really, the great leadership of Tim Birch, Mark Sargent, and the Pat Gaylords of the world that are representing their state incredibly well and efficiently. And it makes my job way easier when we have folks that are really politically astute and just want to do whatever it takes to get the message out. Yep. And so it makes my job so much easier.
I'm glad you said that, because I remember when NSPS went to like the mandatory membership or whatever for the every state, everybody had to be mandatory member, and so many people were like, I don't get anything out of NSPS. Like, why do I have to pay this money? They don't do anything for me. So it was good to hear you say what you just did, and all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes.
John Pelletiello has been representing the community for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And it's a team at our office in Fairfax City. But just as importantly, it's the structure of the team in NSPS and how everyone works well together.
Yep. Agreed. Well said. What else? Got anything else, Pat?
Day on the Hill's coming up. Be there and represent your state.
So can anybody go to that, or how does that work? You have to get picked, or you have to be the state rep or something.
We've invited
right?
anybody from Oregon that wants to come.
Oh, really?
Washington always has a strong showing. We're trying to show them up and get some more boots on the ground from
Cool.
Oregon. And, it's really important to have constituents in the room, so we try and strategize that, obviously. And then we'll bring anybody that wants to come. But I'll let JB jump in.
Ken and Sean, I'm very selfish. I want tentacles in every office in every state.
Yeah.
So that means more work. Quite frankly, a lot of backloaded stuff. The great opportunity is this. So number one, for a state like Oregon, is it 7 members of Congress or 6? You just picked up. Yeah,
now.
You picked up a new seat, right, through redistricting. So that's 6 potential members, PLSO members from Oregon. But then anyone can go visit the Senate offices. So you have 8 target offices from Oregon. California, it's around 52, and throw into 2 senators, so 54. North Dakota, 2 senators and 1 a default 3rd senator. So it fluctuates per state society. What our process is, registration is open right now on the NSPS homepage and website to register for the Day on the Hill. Everyone's invited. It's a little easier for some, tougher for others. So we understand that flexibility-wise. I just took a look at the schedule this morning. Registration closes April the 2nd.
Okay.
So you got real time here to do some due diligence and make travel arrangements. And then we'll do a webinar version of a plan, of a demo about what happens, what the issues are, and then logistically what you need to do to help navigate Capitol Hill. So that would be, I believe, April the 11th. So if you're looking at deadlines moving forward, April 2nd is the registration deadline. April 11th is an online training webinar. We'll do one last version of an in-person webinar or in-person training opportunity the day before, which is April 22nd. And then big day is April 23rd.
Big day.
Big day.
Big day.
I think the last thing to know about this, too, is when we go into these meetings, they're laser focused. We have about 15 minutes at most to pitch these issues. And so we go in very well prepared. JB and John do a great job getting us all set up for that. It's a cool experience.
What's even cooler is that some of these meetings we don't need to even go to. We have Pat, who's a veteran of the Hill, who can handle himself and anyone that would go. So what we try to do is we really try to look at the rookies who are first-timers coming to the Capitol Hill and try to make them as comfortable as possible, understand, to Pat's point of view, what is the protocol, what are the logistics involved, and then, how does a 15-minute meeting actually look like and actually happen? So that's our job. So if you are first-timers, if you're thinking about coming to Capitol Hill for the first time to lobby on behalf of the profession, it's a really cool thing. But just listen to Pat. He's been doing it now for several cycles.
He's a legend, this guy. Platt, right?
Yeah, that was my nickname at one point.
Hey, Geoholics on the Hill. I think there's a future.
I think there might be a future.
You never know. They might not want us.
They might not want us.
They often say about Capitol Hill politicians, the most dangerous place to be is in between a politician and a microphone.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you, guys. It's been great.
Yeah,
Really
appreciate everything.
your time.
JB, Pat, thanks for stopping by.
Yep. Good luck on the hill.
Yeah,
Thank-
good luck.
thank-
April 23rd.
April 23rd. Thank you all very much.
On the radio, with my back to the wall, I feel a smile coming on. Another day that I wish I could just throw away.
All right. We're beginning to wind down. We got a few more lined up here between now and the end of the day.
Yeah. We're in the home stretch.
It's amazing how fast the day goes by when all you do is talk to people the whole time.
I mean, it really is. It is. We blew past lunch, and I feel like I just got here.
Yeah. Thank God for the Snickers bar.
Right. And we've got a couple great guests here. Let
Looking
them
forward to
introduce
this.
themselves.
You bet. Who'd like to go first? I'll go first.
Go ahead.
Sure will. I'm Jay Ear, Customer Success Manager here at NavVis. I work out of the Central Region. I've been with the company for about 2.5 years.
Customer Success Manager. I like that.
And I'm Mike Wausau, account executive based out of Salt Lake City. Been with the company for about 2 years, but had a lot of exposure in the industry over the past 15 or so years.
Really?
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Who'd you work for previously?
So I worked for Monson Engineering.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Okay.
So the
Know those
local
guys?
Trimble dealer out of Utah.
Yep. And your title is interesting. Explain that a little bit. What do you do exactly?
So my job is to make sure that customers that purchase our device are successful.
Okay.
They adopt our technology and they integrate it into their daily workflow.
Gotcha. So you come in after the purchase is made?
It's an evolving process.
Okay.
I start sometimes in pre-sales and work all the way
Got it.
through post-sales. Sometimes I come in at post-sales.
Cool. And what do you do exactly with your job?
So I'm more on the pre-sale side. So really
Okay.
getting the initial exposure to the device, helping them through some initial tech support. And when it gets to downstream softwares, we bring somebody in like Jay. He makes sure that the Revit plugin's working properly or things like that.
Got it. And tell us what makes NavVis cool.
Everything. I've loved working there. It was a great opportunity for me. I think in the space, I had never seen anything work as fast and as clear as what we have. So data comes out clean. We're able to collect it fast. And like I said, lots of exposure. For what brought me over was the data. It was a data-driven decision. I thought that, over the next few years, we could really blow up. It was a good time to get into the company. There's only 4 or 5 people in the States.
Yep.
And we've absolutely taken off since then.
No doubt about that.
Yeah, talk a little bit about what are we in like 3 or 4 years now, and it's just blown up. Like,
Absolutely.
talk about how that has been and the growth and what it's like now compared to what just a few years ago.
It's a really exciting time. We've really kind of evolved here in the United States. Our SLAM algorithm is owned by the company and it's constantly evolving. Our software is easy to use, easy to adopt, and easy to synthesize with other applications within your own ecosystem.
Was it the first wearable? Or it's like the first one that hit the mainstream market, it seemed like.
Yeah.
It's like
the
once.
best wearable.
Well, clearly.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, and another interesting thing is that, I've seen it evolve from different markets, different verticals. So we were,
Yeah, sure.
We started in automotive manufacturing and had a lot of success there, but the AEC market's really adopting it, oil and gas. So opening new opportunities for me, getting me in different industries I never thought I'd work with.
So the latest one is the VLX3. That was about a year old now. It came out last year. So you've had a year. Talk a little bit about this, maybe some customer success stories, and how is that going as far as a new adaptation?
It's a great product. It's got twice as many points, or a double density of the VLX2. It's great for survey, great for AEC in the mechanical space, pipes, wastewater, water. A lot of good introductions with municipalities.
Mm-hmm.
Infrastructure work. There's a lot of infrastructure work happening here in the United States right now with the infrastructure bills. So it's an easy thing to sell. You take it over and show us a couple engineers, and they're like, wow, this data is amazing. It's easy to adapt. We can extrude the pipes with additional partners that we have, things like that.
Interesting.
So what separates NavVis from the other SLAM applications, I guess?
I would say, data quality. We're conceptually very similar to a lot of the platforms, but we're getting down to a 5 millimeter accuracy in that same amount of time. So you also have a lot of control over your output as far as distance away from your scanner. You can clean a lot up. And our interaction with downstream softwares as well. We partner well with, the Autodesks of the world, Bentleys of the world. I think that's one of our strong suits. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're trying to make it roll smooth.
Yep. So you mentioned some strategic partners there.
Sure.
Talk a little bit about those relationships and how they're mutually beneficial.
Sure. You want to take, because I know you get a lot more of the downstream Autodesk workflows as far as the Revit plugin and things like that.
Sure. So we're a licensed partner with Autodesk. We do Revit plugin. That plugin allows us to have our designers look at Ivion, our cloud software, directly in the Revit instance. So they can actually tag information in our instance and then also see that directly in their localized Revit model. So where they are in the cloud, they're also on their desktop. So that's really helpful in the mechanical space because sometimes you're looking at a 2-inch pipe. Is it a 2-inch pipe? Is it an inch and a half? Is it 3-inch? They can verify it in their model. They can verify it in a mark and measure instance within our own software.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
We do a direct download in all the standard file formats, E57 with an embedded pano, RCS, POD, a bunch of others. So it's a really good platform.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to add is just our interoperability. We get data out in friendly formats, make it easy to use downstream.
Got it. And I've done a demo with it before. I actually had Noah and Devin. They were in Phoenix, and I had them scan our curling club.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. I scanned the curling club. It was pretty cool. Yeah. It was pretty neat. Yeah.
So I got to ask, it's been a year now. What's coming out? What is it? Is it going to be the fourth version? What can you share? I know you guys are tinkering. I know, is it going to be like a mile reach instead of a 1,000 feet? I mean, where are we going here?
Land, air, and sea, Mike, right?
Exactly.
Taking the world over.
That's right. I would say most of the advancements coming in the software. So,
Okay.
It's really through our partnerships and streamlining those workflows, making it easier to get data out, create deliverables in another software.
Yeah.
From a development standpoint, constantly updating the algorithm, cleaning up data, making the photo quality a little bit better. So that comes out almost monthly.
Got it. Talk a little bit about the customer experience, like what that looks like from point of sale to support. Let's brag about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we really love these type of shows. We get a lot of exposure here. The device looks kind of crazy, looks cool, but it draws people in.
Yeah.
What we like to do is actually take it out and test it. We get it on a site. We make sure we can create the deliverables the same way people are doing it, but we want to make them more efficient. So it's proof of concept all the way through. As far as after the sale goes, I'm very grateful for only having one product. We do a very good job at training and supporting it. So once we deliver, it's a very involved process from our customer success team to our solutions engineers. You have communication pretty much from me all the way up to the top. So if you have suggestions, you're talking with the product team. And they were actually here this week. I don't know if they had a chance to stop by, but they take people's suggestions into mind and start making adjustments for the customer.
Super cool. Anything to add to that?
No, I think he's got it handled. Good job, Mike.
Fair enough.
Way to cover us.
That's great. So what are some unique applications you've heard, some cool user cases that maybe you wouldn't have thought of out of the gate?
Sure. We got some dam work going on in the Midwest.
Okay.
And they're scanning not only the dam, but the area above the dam, all the groundwork, and then the actual building that's doing all the mechanical operations of that dam. Sewer and sanitary topo work, scanning the actual manholes of the sanitary stuff to capture the pipes, the valves.
Down or something, right?
Just simply invert the VLX, drop it down, grab a photo, bring it back up. You have all the information on that pipe that is in that manhole.
Ooh, you need one of these, buddy.
I know.
You guys are selling to Sean right now.
I know.
Keep that in mind.
I know. We've done I'm working on it. Okay, I'm working on it.
You'll get the GeoHolics discount. Come on.
I got you. I'll take care of you.
All right.
5% right on the top.
Right.
Oh, that's so funny. What other partners do you guys have?
So we, we work pretty friendly with a lot of different partners. Like I said, Bentley and Autodesk are the two main players, I would say, in that space. We've been talking with companies like Revisto, that's a new platform as well. Really exciting stuff there. We're right next to the Trimble and Edgery booth over there. So we've talked with them about downstream workflows, how to get our panos in there properly. But yeah, I think the partnership platform really is more on our side of creating a file format that's friendly across the board.
Sure.
So we're making sure that we meet all their requirements to get into their software.
Yeah. And so much collaboration happening.
Sure.
Right? It's nuts. What else?
Man, I'm blown away. I'm thinking about when I can buy one. There's a lot of things we can do with it. Yeah,
we need to get it back on site with you.
I know. And then maybe you talked about a lot of different verticals. Where do you think where do you think this product and its use is going to continue to evolve in the AEC space? Like, do you see it, and I'm sure you hope it, do you see it as another tool that every AEC business needs to have?
Sure. Yeah, and I think there's been limitations in progress tracking, for example. Doing scans continuously as construction is going on. Our speed kind of allows for that to happen at a better rate with the photo documentation as well. Also, we've had some success in these large survey companies. They're running 40 or 50 survey crews, and each crew has a set of equipment, a GPS receiver, a total station, and we see that supplementing everything. I find value in scanning every project I do, and just having that data to fall back on. And our speed does not hinder any of that workflow that's currently going on. So survey market could be huge. Looking forward to that. With my background, I'm hoping that I can, focus on that a lot more as well.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
Yeah. How about you? What are you excited about?
I'm excited about the survey market as well. I have some really good customers in the Midwest that are using it. Again, it's for the sanitary or just the regular Alta surveys. And those Alta surveys, you go out there, you scan everything with a VLX. You come home and you have every bit of information that you could have potentially missed when you're in the field. But now you have a full photorealistic point cloud staring you right in the face on your computer. So,
I mean, you are solving the age-old ALTA problem of, I went out there and did it, and you didn't tell me to get that, so it didn't happen, and now it's the same fee to go out and get it again. And another month.
Yeah, I got a good friend back in Arizona. He's got one, and he, like you said, on Alta surveys, he'll scan it with that, he'll fly it with his drone, and then pick up the boundary conventionally, basically. And he's got the system down. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, acts as like a safety net. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, cool, guys.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys stopping by. Yeah, anything else you want to get out there?
Just want to thank you guys for what you do. Like I said, I've been listening for a long time. A former coworker came on, and I was really excited about the opportunity, getting this in front of a younger crowd. That's one thing we need to do.
Sure, yeah.
We have an older career field, and I think these new and exciting products are going to bring in a younger demographic.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
So thank you for what you do.
Yep, thanks, guys.
Appreciate you stopping by.
Great job.
So I'm standing in the bleachers throwing shade. La 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 la. Stuck in line and I cannot breathe out. 122 there on 16. It's my birthday.
All right. Another great interview coming up here.
I'm excited once again.
Yeah. The Emesent folks are like our new best friends.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah, they're taking over the airwaves, as they say.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong at all. Let's do some quick self-introductions. Scott, if you want to go first, just name who you're with and what you do.
Sure, yeah. So I am the owner of Harkin Aerial. We're a drone service provider and a training firm, and we work with Quantify, who's one of Emesent's main distributors. So we do a lot of training with HoverMap, showing a lot of surveyors, engineers, and architects how to use that scanner.
This is going to be good. Aaron, do you want to tell us for the third time who you are?
Let's do this. Aaron Newby with Emesent. I'm the Director of Sales for the Americas. So I've got a big team of people over here that just do wonderful things.
Very cool. And talk about this partnership, how it came to be.
Sure. So Harkin, they've been around for a little while. They've been using the HoverMap substantially in so many different use cases. The reason we really like these guys is they push the boundaries of what they can do with the system. Whether it's on a vehicle, handheld, I think they parachuted in once at some place. They just do awesome stuff, and it's beneficial for people to understand what they can do with it because they look at a handheld scanner or they look at a scanner on a drone and think, okay, it's one use case, but they are a testament to what can be accomplished if you have a little bit of imagination.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
You got a lot of stories to share here, Scott.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We've used HoverMap in so many places, taking it to Costa Rica, taking it to 1.5 million factories. We do a lot of that kind of stuff. I came with a little background about myself and how I came to see that as well. So long story short, I'm a mechanical engineer by trade.
Okay.
I was the poor guy who had to do a lot of floor plans, draw up a lot of that stuff. I found my way into the drone industry later and do a lot of like photogrammetry, LiDAR, and mapping for engineers and architects. My whole goal is to show the engineers and architects that like LiDAR is easy, it can be done, it's not scary anymore, and it's so much faster than the way we had to do it with the laser distos and measuring all that up. So I had worked on a couple of projects and through Quantify had found HoverMap because I was doing a lot of outdoor scans and I needed to figure out a way to do the indoors because we did that on the drone, but we needed those floor plans. And that's where this really works out well. That's where we really found a great use for this. So we put in a lot of crazy areas, forestry, indoors and outdoors there. But I would say just building up floor plans for engineers and architects is like, that's our main thing that we do. And it works really well.
Well, you mentioned you're a drone and training.
Yep.
So I'm just never heard anyone talk about their company like that. And how big of an arm is that for your group?
Yeah. Actually quite big these days.
Okay.
What we're finding, I was a drone service provider, I'm a drone service provider outlet, right? But this stuff is finally getting easier. That like engineers and architects are just buying this equipment and flying it themselves. And that's what I want to see. That means the industry is going in the right direction because it should be that easy. So we've moved over. We still do work for engineers and surveyors, but we do a lot of training of just saying, look, buy the stuff yourself. We'll teach you how to fly. We'll teach you how to use it.
Interesting. So it's almost like we could do it for you if you need us to, but we'd rather just show you how to use it.
Exactly. And there's always big projects where they need a helping hand or, people are still stretched for labor these days at these firms, so they'll hire us for that. So we still do plenty of services, but training has really, really been growth for us.
Interesting.
What's your service area?
Yeah, in terms of like where we'll operate.
Yeah.
So I'm from Long Island, New York, born and raised. And we do most of our work in the tri-state area, but I've traveled all over. Like I said, we did Costa Rica. We did that project. We do a little bit out west sometimes. And yeah, the training we do nationwide.
And what do you love about the HoverMap?
The HoverMap, it's versatility, right? This is like the Swiss Army knife of scanners. That's what we always like to say. And that is exactly where it is. It's like, I like to tell people, and what I cover in my training is you need a kit, right? Just like a surveyor has a kit where he's got a GPS and he's got a total station. If you're going to do scanning, you need a kit. And this is a huge part of our kit because we know that, okay, I can get an interior done with it. I can get the underhangs that the drone can't get. It covers all the bases that our other equipment doesn't. And so it always fills in the gaps and it always like grabs the data where we know maybe the GPS, maybe the drone will just be a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah. Where does the survey component come in?
Yeah, so that depends. We do a lot with aerial LiDAR to start with, right? So we'll do like a lot of topographic surveys. That's really the main market for aerial LiDAR. But what we get more and more is these surveyors will book a topo survey, but then they'll say, yeah, I also told the client I can get like facades and front faces of the buildings. I said, yes, can we do that? And we get that a lot. And we're like, absolutely. We're gonna pull out the HoverMap for that.
Yeah. What are some of the cool use cases that Aaron was talking about?
Yeah, well, we did. So we did do topographic mapping, and we used HoverMap in Costa Rica to supplement the topo. So very, very difficult to reach through the canopy in Costa Rica. We used aerial LiDAR, we used manned aircraft LiDAR. It did a good job, but that canopy is dense. There's no leaves off season for that stuff. It's leaves on always. And so actually walking around with HoverMap in the areas that we didn't get was a huge benefit there. We got a ton of just under the canopy data, and you just slap it on a backpack and you walk around. So it's very, very easy.
Yeah. How do you manage these huge files?
Well, that's what I train. that's where the training comes in, right? Yeah, I wouldn't call it our secret sauce, but that is part of like an education. We really take each tool and we have a process where we kind of decimate and bring down the data to the level that we need. And then we have a way we'll blend it together. So yeah, that's why I tell people, like, the kit, so to speak, isn't just hardware, it's software. So we always train people on like the best software to use, and it totally depends on what you're doing, right? If you're doing topography, there's ABC software to do that. But if you're doing, say, these building interiors and floor plans, it's going to be a totally different program that'll be better at that. So there's a workflow for each use case, and that's part of what we do, get people through that workflow.
Yeah. So Aaron, this has got to be exciting to have partners like this.
Oh, it truly is. We wouldn't be where we are unless we had partners and end users that understand the concept of it, are able to go out there, implement it, and really evangelize to others. Because, the better we support them, the better they're going to support us. And like you said, we show people how to use it. And once they see it, they realize how easy it is, and they're going to end up buying it. And then it just kind of expands from there. And we see it internal in organizations as well, where one part of the group will be using it, everybody sees it, and they're like, hell, I need this too. So they end up buying 4 or 5 of them, and then we get these mass rollouts. And that's really what we like to see, is enterprise users taking advantage of it and using it to the full capacity. And then also with the third-party softwares, right? We integrate with everybody. We kick out the LAS, LEZ, PLI, E57, so it can be used in really any implementation, whether it's mining, forestry, AEC, oil and gas, you name it. We're going to work with all those third-party softwares.
Right. So your client base, is there a target client base, or what's that demographic look like?
We go for a lot, right? It's pretty wide, but we do find ourselves, and this is kind of just because this was what I did when I was a mechanical engineer, we find ourselves more in the civil environmental sector. I was just explaining to Aaron, what we do is a lot of things called like brownfields, which are areas of property with an abandoned building usually on top of it. So it's a mix of abandoned land and a mix of abandoned buildings, and we need to work with an architect. We need to work with a civil engineer to both do structural and do design work. So it's wide, but civil environmental is kind of where we drill down to.
Okay. Nice.
Got it. And does artificial intelligence play a role in what you do?
It does. That is definitely, the new kid on the block always. That comes in on the software end. We're playing around with that. I am a very picky workflow CAD nerd guy, and we explore AI. We're doing a lot with that. My struggle, and what I think a lot of people do, is it's here, it's good, but we're always need it in a good package. We need to, it's not just, apply deep learning to this scan. We need to be like, do A, B, C, D with AI, and out comes the finished floor plan. I'm big on, we're in the integration process, and we want to get it really easy for our customers.
How did you get into this business?
Yeah. You want the long story or the short story? I'll give you a short story. Was a mechanical engineer, and aerospace was actually my focus.
Okay.
I originally thought I'd want to work for an aerospace company, but I found my way into a civil engineering firm, and I was actually working like nights and weekends for a cinematography drone company, who just like friend of a friend, just kind of fell into that. And the day I saw photogrammetry, right, where you can actually make these models from a drone, like that's where I'm like, okay, the light bulb went off, and I'm like, oh my God, my day job and my night job can be the same thing.
Sure.
But not cinema, right? To do photogrammetry and do drone mapping. And that was it. I did that internally with the engineering firm I was working for a bit, until they took that as far as they wanted to go. And I was just like, you know what, there's so much more we can do with this. And I wanted to teach people who were like me, right? I wanted to be like the poor souls that have to sit there and do CAD and floor plans and just spend 8 hours a day. I love that stuff, but I like when that's easy. And so I really kind of created a company to make my past self happier in my day job.
Well, it seems like that makes a lot of sense. There is a lot of people here that can collect a lot of data.
Yes.
And we don't talk to as much to the people that actually use it and what they go through, and having somebody, especially a company that can train those end users on how to get when where they're going, seems like it checks a lot of boxes.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like we kind of do better the more data there is to collect, the better we do, because you always have to do something with it, right?
Right.
And it's like I like to say, it's like we run a bakery, right? People are selling all the ingredients, right? Cake batter, this and that, but you want a good cake, you gotta set the oven to 350, bake for 20 minutes, and there's steps you need to do, and we're all about those steps.
Sure, that's cool.
Yeah. Are you do anything with digital twins?
Yes. Oh yeah. Actually, quite a good amount with that lately. The drone stuff is great. We just did a job where we slapped hover map on a truck, drove it around downtown Troy, New York, and then flew the drone for photogrammetry, and have a really, really nice meshed model that we've got in ArcGIS. That's a digital twin, and so perfect example. Yeah. Digital twin workflow is literally what we've just kind of worked out in our training on how to make one of those. So.
You know what's the one word I have not heard the last 2 days?
What's that?
The metaverse. Is the metaverse still a thing?
Yeah, that's a great
I mean, what
question.
happened to the metaverse? People were getting married in the metaverse. I bought your house in the metaverse.
That's about it.
What's that?
It's just the kids now.
Really?
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, it's just like digital playground, right?
Yeah.
I maybe controversial take, but yeah, I'm kind of glad we're past the metaverse stage. It was a little too open ended, I think. Like if one thing I don't like open ended. I like A to B to Z, right? Yeah. I think it describes the possibilities well, but that's why I like digital twins a little more. We like things that, I can say the word and they know exactly what it is, right? So,
and you kind of put your hands around.
Exactly, yeah. Metaverse is great, but I still associate that more with like VFX and kind of that. We're a little more about CAD models and the as-built environment.
Right. Yeah, I like it. What else, Aaron? You got anything else to add to this?
I would just say that there's a great opportunity out there for service providers. Harkin is one of many that do wonderful jobs for us in all industries, whether it's oil and gas, AEC. Really, the sky's the limit because so many companies out there, SLAM LiDAR is new, and it doesn't fit in with their current workflow, especially in construction, right? These guys are CAD geeks. Sorry, you CAD people out there.
You're not offending anybody.
All right, cool. They know who they are. But, it's different. They don't understand it. And using a service provider to get an introduction into this part of the industry is beneficial for everybody. It supports a network of people who are out there doing diligent work every day. But in the long run, it's going to lead into new areas for these companies to extract data and look at it and save a ton of time. Total stations are wonderful. They do a great job, but it's not always necessary.
Well said.
Last words here, Scott. What are you excited about?
What do you got?
I think that what Ed said there was perfect, and I think, my last thing I'll say about that too, about like this being great for service providers, is I'll say this is easier than you think. Half of what I do is play psychologist and be like, don't worry, it's going to be okay. LiDAR is actually way easier than you think. I think people think back to 10, 15 years ago when it's $100,000, multi-million-dollar operation to even get a laser scanner on the field, right? It's nothing like that at all. Like, it's easy. It's as easy as the total stations, as easy as the GPS. And I just tell people, it's just another part of your kit. And that's all it is. And that's actually really exciting.
Yep. Another tool in the toolbox, right?
That's cool.
As they say. Well, thank you guys for your time.
Yeah. Appreciate you stopping by.
Yep.
Thank
Great
you.
to meet you.
Always a pleasure.
Yep.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks.
But it's just a waste of time. Another day that I wish I could just go away. La 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 la, but I can't make it stop. So I'm standing.
How you doing, buddy? Are you petering out a little bit?
No.
Everything's good?
Everything is good.
You look a little distracted. Is everything okay?
Well, it's been a busy day.
Yep.
Just want to make sure when we go so fast, I got to make sure I've got everything so I can piece it back together.
Stressful.
It's exciting, I should say that.
There you go. All right.
And we got another great guest.
You got a good one lined up here. Quick self-introduction, if you would. Just name, who you're with, and kind of what you do.
So I'm Jonathan Murphy, and I'm the founder of GoGeomatics Canada.
And GoGeomatics Canada. We've had you on before.
Yeah, you've been
virtually.
on.
I was working with Jeff Zeiss
That's
on
right.
some SF,
Yep.
and Gavin and him came on and did, and then I went on with Gavin after
Right.
to promote the other great things we were doing in Canada.
Let's hear about those great things.
Well, the latest endeavor was the GoGeomatics Expo in Calgary, which was a great success. We had over 600 participants on the expo side, over 50 exhibitors. It was the first time we ever did it. It's the national Geomatics event for Canada because we didn't have one in Canada. There's a bunch of great regional things, but I wanted to create something like, in the vision of an InterGeo
Sure.
or a GeoWeek
Yep.
kind of thing for practitioners.
Yeah. And it was a success?
It was. I'm doing it again.
Awesome.
So we're back in Calgary.
Back in Calgary.
Yeah, we're going to keep it in Calgary. It's the heart of geomatics in Canada. And I would love for you guys to come out.
I love Calgary, so it's not going to take much arm twisting.
What are the dates?
October 28th to the 30th.
Okay. All right.
Which this year?
Yeah, October.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think we'll be in Germany in September.
Yeah.
Energio is earlier this year.
I could definitely make Calgary work in October.
All right.
That'd be fantastic.
Let's do that. All right. We'll talk afterwards. Tell us just more about GoGeomatics and what's the mission? What's the objective of the group?
GoGeomatics was something I started kind of off the side of my desk as a happy accident. I was a consultant, GIS, geomatics specialist, started as a job board in 2003, quickly evolved over the years into the largest professional network in Canada, all free, no membership fees. Grew organically. I didn't have a plan to do that.
Wow.
So people contacted me and said, oh, you're getting together in Ottawa. Well, we want to get together in Toronto and Vancouver. And I was like, sure. Like, it doesn't cost anything. You just need good local leaders. And it's still going on now, over 10 years now.
Wow. So who does the organization cater to? Is it a cross-section of geospatial professionals?
Geographers. Anybody who's interested in why, where matters. Location. Tourists come to the meetup, talk to people. You're thinking about getting into it as a career. We do a big event every year called the Back to School Meetups. I've been traveling across the country trying to be at all of them. Sometimes there's like 15, and we welcome the next generation of the students. It's in September. They're coming into the program, and we kind of say, hey, you're one of us now. You might not have realized it, but this is the geomatics community. Even if you're GIS or a geomatics tech, or you're doing whatever. If you're doing location, you're doing this. And we get industry to support it, and it's been great.
Very cool. So interesting that there's no charge to be part of the organization.
No, there's no membership.
Okay.
GoGeomatics is a business. We call it a social enterprise. So we have some things we do to make money, which is like get sponsorships and things. But no, most of the things and all the things I started when I began were free. Oh, and I'm pretty sure somebody can fact check me online that I'm the world's first geospatial career coach.
Oh, I think we talked about that.
I do remember having a conversation about that. Super cool. So do you offer that service?
Technically, the web page is up. I increased the prices because I actually don't want to do it too much. I'm so busy. I actually do a lot more free stuff. Like somebody will contact me and I'll be like, hey, let's just jump on Zoom and let's just chat. I'll throw your ideas off me because I'm I've got no skin in the game. I'll tell you my honest opinion.
Yeah. And back to GoGeomatics, what is the value that the organization is providing? Is there educational opportunities or what is the gist of it?
So basically it's the biggest communication channel in our community other than like a commercial one like the Esri Canada email list and things like that. So we have a newsletter every week, post jobs, post events, news. We have a volunteer group that meets every Tuesday night, and they're all professionals at varying levels of their career, and they pick stories and write stories. We do a digest, international, once every 2 weeks, and then we do a Canadian digest.
Right.
And then we vote as a group. It takes about half an hour. And one person volunteers to write it all up. And it's just fun. It started during COVID because we couldn't do the meetups and stuff. It just evolved.
Okay. And so what was your background before you started this 10 years ago?
So I've been in GIS and Geomatics since 2001. I went to COGS. Shout out to COGS. I got into geomatics through archaeology. I was actually originally an archaeologist, and I did a project called Mapping Rome in Rome, and started using ArcView and some other stuff. And wasn't a lot of money in archaeology in 2000. I ended up working at the British Museum. I was the first web manager of the British Museum, actually. It was like the internet was just kind of getting started, right? And I was 24 or something like that.
Right.
Talked my way into a job using all the SQL. And they're, that's impressive. Yes, I know what that means. And then decided, well, I love this GIS stuff, and it's a tool set, right?
Sure.
So I was like, I can apply this to lots of other things. And I started once I graduated, started a business right away. I had an opportunity, did archaeology, GIS, geomatics, started doing a lot more just straight up GIS work. And then this kind of started up at the same time, and it's evolved. Now I do this full time, and I've been doing it for years.
How do GIS professionals and professional land surveyors get along in Canada?
Well, there's definitely communities. I really am glad that I picked Geomatics as the umbrella, because then you don't get that, well, we're not this, we're not that. Well, if you're location, you're Geomatics.
Sure. Great.
And it's also a good way to tell if you're, it sounds weird, but one of us. If you know what the word means, you're probably one of us, or you're the general public doesn't know what it means.
Sure.
So it's a bit of a secret language. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. What are you pondering over here?
Oh, I'm just staring at Dr. Nick over there, working his magic. Well, piggyback from what we talked about before, where do you see GoGeomatics going? I mean, what does the future look like for what you're doing now?
So, it's definitely picked up. GoGeomatics is growing. We have another show coming up. So I'll have two shows now. The one in Eastern Canada called GeoIgnite. That's a lot more. It's small. 250 people, only 20, 25 exhibitors. It's a conference. It's meant for the federal government, the provincial governments. It's a lot of kind of leadership stuff for geospatial. Then the expo in Calgary is a lot more like this, really.
Okay. Yeah. And then do you see more conferences and is that what the future looks like? And is that kind of
stable conferences that grow? Absolutely.
Okay.
I'd like to continue to grow the community. I've been here listening to people, and it's interesting, some of the talks, they talk about how to get the next generation of leaders and mentorship and how to bring the community together. I kind of did that like before without knowing it was a thing. Like it wasn't a plan and no one asked me to do it.
Yeah.
And it just kind of evolved because I was younger. I'm older now. So it was one of me. Like I would go to events and I'd be like, well, no one's talking to me because I'm nobody. I don't have a job, but I'm interested in stuff. And they want to charge me to get in. Or they wanted a membership fee for some association or something, or accreditation. I'm like, well, I got my GIS accreditation in college. I don't need to pay you.
Right.
Now, some things you do if it's licensed, and that's cool.
Sure.
So no, it was organic and it wasn't planned. Like it's like if I'd known what it was going to turn into, I'd be like, no, that's not possible.
Right. Yeah. But now you're past like the point of no return, and it's just
I'm completely unemployable. Yeah.
Do you have a team that helps you pull all this together?
I do.
Okay.
We've grown enough that, yes, I do carry a payroll for a small team. But again, a huge volunteer effort to get everything together. There's still 30, 40 volunteers across the country doing things.
Wow.
We're constantly trying to get new people in, join the volunteer group, editing, writing, be a local group leader for your community, which is basically going to a pub.
Yeah.
Right,
So your commitment is about 3-4 hours. We do the heavy lifting on the promotion and communications. That's been popular.
I'm curious, would you have done anything different along the way? I mean, you like you said, you didn't really realize where this was going.
No, not at all. I went where it took me.
Sure.
Because in 2017, 2018, I never made any money doing this. I got by, and I loved doing what I was doing.
So what else would you do different if you went back to, what'd you say, 2001?
I don't know if there was a way to do it different.
Okay.
When I originally started, actually, I'll tell you, when I started doing things, I thought I was going to get noticed by either a corporation or an association. Go, hey, you're really clever at bringing people together. Why don't we hire you to be our director of community something or whatever? Never happened. So I kept going. I'm like, I'm on this train. I'm not getting off.
So why just Canada? I mean, could you grow this to North America?
Absolutely, it's possible.
Yeah.
And when I first started, I had GoGeomatics Europe, USA, and Canada, but I didn't find any traction. And it was just a job board, though.
Okay, gotcha.
But I've been talking to the RCN about working together and stuff. So that sounds super positive.
Yep.
And, I've become an advisor for GeoWeek. I'm just trying to make more connections, like people like yourselves who are doing things engaging. It's all very positive. And thank you for what you're doing for the community, both of you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's nice of you to
appreciate
say.
that. Yeah.
How do people find out more?
Go to gogeomatics.ca. also find me on LinkedIn. If you just put in Jonathan Murphy and you're in our space, I'll probably be at the top of the list.
Oh, I'm sure.
Perfect. Anything else? And what are you excited about?
I'm excited about geospatial and AI. I'm very excited about that. I'm also excited about GIS BIM interoperability, the challenge of it, and coming together on that. I've been talking a lot to the federal government in Canada about the challenges around that. Human resourcing. There's not a training program that I know of, someone can correct me, in Canada where they're really bringing that together. Like you might be able to take an elective and take like a CAD class or something like that. But outside of the architecture programs, I don't think they're really doing BIM. So to find those resources is difficult. The people that can start bridging those worlds.
Yep. Well said. I'm excited.
Cool.
Super cool.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll see you in Calgary in October. That'd be amazing.
Ken, Sean, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
Thanks for stopping by.
But I can't make it stop, so I'm standing in the bleachers, throwing the shade.
It's almost quitting time, buddy.
It is almost quitting
We're
time.
almost there.
Yeah.
This could be the last one of the event.
Could be. We may squeeze one more in, but
we're going out with a bang.
We are going out
regardless.
strong.
We got Jody with us. Jody, real quick, just quick self-introduction, name, who you're with, what you do.
Hi, I'm Jody Andruszkiewicz. I'm with SkyWatch Space, and what I do is I help people drive satellites from their desk.
Well, this is perfect timing.
I was telling Jody, Kent has mentioned or asked the question to several people on this show this week.
Yeah.
Do you use any satellites, or where does it end? And everyone's like, kind of.
Yeah.
And then now we figure, let's get the guy that actually does that and talk a little bit.
Why
more
not?
about
Right?
it.
That would make perfect sense.
So
Crazy.
expand a little more there. I can drive a satellite from my desk.
Yep. So with our platform,
No, you can't. He can.
well, no, you can. It's a self-service
Do not
platform.
trust him with a satellite.
Platform.
Do not trust him driving a satellite.
So yeah, we enable on-demand self-service, and it's gonna sound crazy, but it's super simple. There's no sign-up fees, no subscription fees. You pay based on the size of an area, the frequency of a collection, the sensor type and resolution, and are you tasking or is it an archive shot? We're breaking up we're doing the good things to get remote sensing data out to the people and doing it in a way that they don't have to worry about, oh my God, how do I spend this $100,000 contract? It's you just use what you use and life is good.
How current is this data?
So when you're tasking, it's assume Mother Nature cooperates, 24 to 36 hours old.
Tasking, what does that mean?
So tasking is when you tell a satellite and you tell to go over a specific area, over a specific date range. And it's always future looking. So that's tasking.
Okay.
Archive is everything that has been pre-collected by someone somewhere out there.
Okay.
You don't know who, but you're loving the fact that they took a picture of an area that you wanted. So get that picture and life is good.
So you have access to those images as well?
Full archive of our providers. Absolutely.
Of your providers?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us what a provider is.
So as an aggregated platform, we work with providers like Planet, Airbus, Satellogic, and they have massive archives of pre-established and pre-taken shots.
Yep.
So our platform ties right into their APIs and makes a call, and you can see all the providers. So it's like the Sentinels, all of their stuff over an area, and you can see what has been collected. It's fantastic. Like,
that's amazing.
The ability to do this now is you can get an image in 5 minutes. You can say, yeah, I want an image, and it takes 5 minutes. Like, the old ways of doing things are over, I would say, but it's fun to be able to say, hey, I took a picture of some far remote space from my desk.
That is crazy to think about. It's like I'm trying to wrap my mind around that right now.
So it's almost like I want a picture of that area. I want to go in and see if there's something already up there I can pull down. And then if I either don't see it or it's really, really old and I want a new one, I just say, all right, go over there and grab me this area. And a day and a half later, it shows up in my inbox.
Assuming Mother Nature cooperates? Yeah.
So tell me, is that just cloud cover? Is there?
That's the only reason.
That's the only reason?
Why when Mother Nature decides. Now, here's the fun part. we don't just aggregate optical products. We aggregate products like SAR, so synthetic aperture radar, which has the ability to see through clouds. You don't have to worry about any of that. So depending on what you need and what you're doing, you can use what I like to call the pretty optical pictures that blow everybody's minds and be able to see through clouds and monitor. So things like flooding. Imagine the ability to monitor a storm in real time.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. Incredible.
And are we talking about like any cloud cover, or if it's like the
SAR's,
thin wispy stuff? Or
No. SAR actually sees through hurricanes. So
there's your answer, Sean.
Yeah,
I mean, there's your answer.
It's hard for me to to wrap my head around that, but okay.
Yeah. So no getting up in the big plane and being like, "Hey, we're going on an adventure," and sitting in the eye of the storm. You can see through the storm.
So are you putting like remote sensors on the satellites? Like, can you do like infrared and stuff like that?
So the providers, like, I'll use Airbus just as an example, right? So the one constellation they have has 6 bands of optical data. So red, blue, green, near infrared, right? Your standard RBGN.
Yep.
But that 30 centimeter constellation also has the red edge band, as well as what some call it deep blue, others call it coastal blue, but they have that 6th band as well. And so you can do all sorts of really cool things when you mix and match. You know, if we go back to remote sensing 101 class, you can do mix and match your bands and see. With the deep blue, you can penetrate the top 10 to 15 feet of non-turbid water.
Yep.
So the ability to do coastal reparation work and restoration work from outer space.
Yep.
Like, that's amazing.
That's insane. That's insane. And all this imagery is georeferenced?
All of it's georeferenced, because if you use our platform in your native ArcGIS environment, everything's geospatially, your X's and Y's. So you're literally just using your existing shapefile. If you're using our web portal, you can just upload a KML file, and that's all geospatially referenced too. So
wow,
easy peasy lemon squeezy.
I like that.
I mean, if you think at the really high level, I mean, really, really high level.
You mean like the lemon squeezy part?
No, I was talking about like the satellite high level, like
high level.
way up there.
Got it.
And you're actually taking a picture. Like, I was just thinking, when you're geo-referenced, what actually is geo-referenced is knowing where you're at in relation to everything else, right?
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, I mean, latitude and longitude.
Right, but when you're way the...
Oh, yeah. Don't ask me. Don't look at me when you're asking these questions. I'm just a dumb surveyor.
How do you georeference from the satellite?
So the KML will have all the coordinates, right? It'll have all the X and Y's, or your shapefile will have all the XY coordinates on it already. So before it even goes to the satellite provider, it's already spatially referenced. And then when the satellite provider collects it, the image, now they're collecting this massive, like 100 square kilometer or 200 square kilometer tile, but you're getting just your little clipped area, right? Specific. And so for that georeferencing, what you're getting then is just your Esri arc shape or whatever, right? But that's however you get that shape file.
Yep.
It has all the X's and Y's in it already. So when you put it into the system, they'll know what geospatial coordinates are. And, when you're talking about like how accurate is it?
Yeah.
It's about 5 to 6 feet. So that's like,
amazing.
That's, if we're talking about accuracy, like that 5 to 6 feet kind of situation is like GPS units are like 3 feet. So we're getting into that GPS level accuracy from outer space.
Could you get more accurate than that?
When the sensors get a little bit stronger, sure.
Okay.
Did you meet anyone this week that had a sensor that was stronger?
Well, we've got one partner, Urban Sky. They use high altitude balloons and low, and they're a 10 centimeter per pixel sensor. So that's an air photo quality shot from an air balloon.
And then you're not that much further up from the balloon.
No, not at all, right? So that gives you that flexibility, right? And so with this, the idea is just to give everybody access, right? And so when you're
democratization, as they say,
that's our mission: democratize the industry, get rid of the gatekeepers. That's why it's a self-service platform. We don't need.
It sounds a little disruptive, Jody.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm okay. Like, the technology has now evolved. And the use cases have now evolved where where SkyWatch makes sense. 10 years ago, not so much maybe because there wasn't, either the quality of the imagery.
But
now it's there. And as the sensors get more and more stronger, there's a company called Albedo back in the end of 2021. I recall NOAA gave them the thumbs up to deploy a 10 centimeter sensor. Like they build your prototype, get it into orbit. We give you the thumbs up. So that's the industry is now looking to put 10 centimeter sensors.
Wow.
Air photo quality imagery from outer space.
That's insane.
Blows my mind.
What is that going to do to some of these traditional photogrammetry companies?
Well,
There's probably always going to be a need, I suppose. But
well, for obliques, right?
Yeah.
Satellites today, we can do stereotype. And if we go back to old school intro to remote sensing, those old school stereoscopic glasses that we all wore.
Yeah.
You can do that with satellites, right? But it's not there yet, right? It doesn't have the accuracy that an oblique from an air photo would get. And that's okay, right? Satellites aren't the panacea. They're getting there, but they're not the panacea. We're a tool in your toolbox.
Yep.
We're an incredibly powerful tool in the toolbox.
An incredibly expensive tool.
Nope, not at all.
No, not your product necessarily.
Yeah.
The satellite itself. Like these satellites that you're controlling to collect this imagery, do you guys own the satellites?
We don't own a single
How
box.
does this work? Do you rent a satellite for a day or something?
No, so we've got...
I just want a satellite for a day. Let me do what I want
I'm
with
telling you, there is a price point that works for both you and gets you to that you can just move a satellite around and go creep on whoever you want to creep on wherever in the world.
Although if you're creeping on people, I always recommend getting a good divorce lawyer and a private investigator. Just saying.
Yeah.
Go ahead and have that. Go ahead and have them on retainer, right?
So how many satellites are we talking about that you guys have access to?
Over 400.
How much shit is flying around up there?
A lot.
But
400. I didn't even know there's 400 satellites up there. That's insane.
And if you were to take all the commercial satellites, like everything from even the big Sentinels and the Copernicus ones, those monsters. If you were to take every single satellite, it would cover 2 or 3 football fields. That's it. Like in the context of space, think if in the context of the size of the Earth.
So how big are these satellites?
Most of them are maybe the size of the table we're sitting at.
3x3?
3x3, 4x4. Some are
Really?
cute, 1x1, 2x2. They're getting tinier and smaller and more powerful.
Well, just think about it.
That's
It was
freaking
if
cool.
it was 1,000 boats circling the world.
Yeah.
That's not actually that many. They would be very far apart from each other.
Because of the size of it.
Yeah, and then remember, it's a ball, so the further you're up, the more space you have around.
Yeah. Well, that's if you're not a flat earther.
Assuming it's a ball.
Yeah.
I'm just going to smile and nod on this one.
I love it. Oh, man. Talking to the satellite guys. It's awesome.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, let's talk to the satellite guy about flat Earth.
Yeah.
So do you have, let's talk about the business model first.
Yeah.
Explain that a little bit. How does that work?
Pay as you go.
Pay as you go.
Straight up pay as you go. So like I said earlier, size of an area of interest.
So do you just, what's the platform look like? You go on the website, you put a box around the area you want imagery for, and then a bunch of options pop up?
Yeah.
And then you click what you want and hit
purchase.
Send a check out and
yeah, it's almost like I said, it's like an Amazon type marketplace of satellite imagery, right? You just for the archive, you log on, you pay, you put your credit card in, you pay what you need, you get your data a couple hours, not even a couple hours later, because they still got a little bit of processing time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But we're talking under 24 hours to get imagery, archive imagery. And if you're tasking, so driving, always qualify assuming Mother Nature cooperates. But if Mother Nature cooperates, so if we were sitting here today and set a task, so today's Tuesday, I would say let's start the task on Thursday. Let's go to the rest of the month, right? That's great. Thursday's a gorgeous sunny day. Click, click, click. We got data the next day. Mother Nature's cranky. Okay, cool. Click, click, click. Next day. But it comes back, it revisits. It automatically sets up to revisit. So it comes back on Saturday. Saturday's a gorgeous day. Click, click, click. Bob's your, Monday morning, you got ready data for you.
Oh, my goodness. That's insane, man.
I thought you knew all this.
Huh?
I thought you knew all this
Well,
stuff.
I think I had some basic knowledge of it, but it's just advancing at such a rapid pace. It really is.
Well, and I think
the accessibility is
and I think what Jody
ridiculous.
says is you may not have thought it's a tool in the toolbox. It may be something that you would go to Home Depot and rent if you needed. Now it's something you can probably just keep there, and it's not so far away that you maybe pull it into a lot more.
So do you have competition in this arena?
Oh, sure. And I say this with no sense of irony, or there's tons of room for everybody to play. There's just tons of room, right? There's no one here. Like, we have, our friends over at Up 42. I was talking with my counterpart there yesterday, right? Yeah. We were just having a great conversation, right? Like, so there's tons of space here. And so for our competitors in the space, I wish them nothing but the best.
Right.
And I say that sincerely. I wish them nothing but the best.
Yeah.
I just know that we're doing awesome things. And we've been doing it for longer. So
is it like
make your own conclusions with that,
guys? So from like a profitability perspective, is it like, because you have competition, you said?
Yep.
And I've seen this in the reality capture side of things here recently, as a matter of fact. It's like a race to the bottom. It's like, I can provide this quality of product at this price. Why would you freaking do that, first of all? And then the answer is, because if I don't do it, somebody else will. They're going to get it for that price.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
because it's not like there's no standards. It's not regulated what you guys are doing.
Yeah. And so what we're trying to do is just make it easy, right? So we've worked with the providers on their, and we're working really at the end of the day with their pricing.
Right.
Right. But what we've done is we've swapped out the big buy-in, the contract, right? The subscription. We at SkyWatch have solved what you would call the procurement problem. So for the users, our users who use this, they don't have to worry about negotiating contracts or worrying about pricing. They can look, oh, hey, this costs $12 a square kilometer at 50 centimeters. Thanks very much. And I've got a 50 square kilometer area that I want to monitor. $600, Bob's your uncle. Thanks so much.
Yep.
Right. Oh, you want to do it recurring? Great. Send it every month for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
You get billed monthly. Right. It's just the idea here that you talked about disruptiveness. Even on the pricing model, we're disrupting, not to, hurt anybody or do anything, but to recognize that the 99% of the market that wants access to this loves the pay-as-you-go market.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it really does. Because then you're not. It's not as much of a commitment.
There's no commitment.
You get what you need, right?
Yeah. And we work with large enterprise orgs around the world who come from the traditional model of prepay and whatnot, and they want, hey, I will never say no to somebody's money if it's green, right? And we work with people, and we work with our clients and our partners where they're at. So if we've got a partner who wants to have the flexibility of the SkyWatch platform, but wants to do the prepay, sure, you have the best of both worlds, right? We're not going to say no.
Right.
We're going to set you up for success. And that's where we meet, right? And so, that's where when someone reaches out to me and says, hey, listen, our accounting team likes to do it this way. Okay, no problem. Let's work with your accounting team.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think we've talked about this before. There's going to be at some point a one-stop shop, right? Where you can get this imagery that we're talking about. You can get utility information, like just layers and layers and layers of data that is going to be accessible to people.
Absolutely.
It's like right now you've got this person, providing this person providing this. So you have to go to a bunch of different places, whereas there's going to be a one-stop shop at some point.
Well, with us, what we've done at SkyWatch is we've made a conscious decision, because there are all those firms that do analytics and insights. At SkyWatch, we've made a conscious decision to not do that, to support those firms and to support those orgs. Much like, when you, as an aggregator, right? If you're a big org and have a 7 or 8 figure kind of contract deal, go to the Airbus, go to the provider directly, right? Because they're going to give you a sweet, sweet deal that we can't give. And I'm not offended by that.
Sure.
But if you've got like a small thing that, where that, then it makes sense to come to talk to the SkyWatch team and set yourself up for success, right? So
100%.
We meet our people where they're at, but giving them that flexibility of pay as you go and self-service.
Yep.
Speaking of that, who is your primary, who makes up the most of your clients? You said your people. Who are those people?
Who are our people? So our top 5, if you will: oil and gas, forestry, mining, utilities. We work with cities and urban spaces, right? Consulting companies, consulting companies love the SkyWatch platform because, well, Kent, you know how it's project based, right?
Yep.
Like Sean, you know, like it's all project based, right? How do you amortize a 6-figure or 7-figure buy-in across all these products and projects, right? Do you force your clients, like you as consultants, right? Do you force your clients at gunpoint, proverbially speaking, buy this, you have to buy this data to do work with us? They're going to tell you to pound sand.
Right.
Well, the other way is this is the only data we have. Here's what we can get from it instead of, okay, we can either use this if you want this accuracy and this level and
and so as consulting companies, it gives you, like, for our consulting partners, it gives them the flexibility to service their clients where their clients are at without, again, putting that proverbial financial gun to their head to say, do business with us, you have to do this.
Right. Man, it's so cool.
Good stuff.
So cool. So what's the next advancement? I mean, what are you excited about?
For us, I'm excited to have all of our providers eventually fully integrated into the SkyWatch platform, right? That's as a guy who talks to clients every day, I would love for every single one of our partners to be self-integrated. And I think from a SkyWatch perspective, with our platform and our providers, that's where we're going next, and that's what I'm excited about.
Yep.
From an industry perspective, I am stoked for two things. First, I'm excited for a 10-centimeter sensor in orbit. I cannot wait for that.
That's crazy.
That's going to be mind-blowing.
Yeah, no, it's game-changing for sure.
And the second thing I'm wildly excited about is the industry is trying to work towards getting same-day tasking, collection, and delivery. So can you imagine logging on to SkyWatch at 9 a.m. saying, hey, I'd like a satellite to go over this afternoon, and then get it at the end of the workday? Like, oh my God.
Doesn't like the Department of Defense have that ability? Like if they want an image of a certain area, you know, how fast can they get that turn that around?
Well, for those who are listening to this and, you know, will eventually hack my computer.
Already hacked.
Who've already hacked my computer. Like the defense guys, they live in their own world with their own hardware, right? And that's awesome, right? But if in the commercial world's about 10 to 15 years behind the military world. So the military guys can do, like, the military guys with their hardware, they do their thing, right? And I love them for it. Respect them all for it. Do they use commercial data because they don't have enough of their own boxes in orbit? Absolutely they do. But they deal with the providers directly because we're talking, you know, $100 million, $1 billion deal. And God love them. God love them for doing that, right? Go keep those relationships positive. And I don't want to ever, you know, to our partners who are listening to this, you've got my 100% support. You know, I'm not going to make a mess in your cornflakes.
Yep. That's awesome. So good. What else you got, Sean? Anything?
Oh man, I'm spent.
This is a good way to wrap up the.
It really is.
The event.
It's a global perspective to wrap up the event.
Jody just injects energy into me.
I know.
It's amazing how this happens.
I mean, it's amazing, and he's probably gave this spiel at least 60 times today.
Just in the last hour.
And he's still enthusiastic about it. That's amazing.
Oh my gosh. Well, hey, Jody, thanks again, man. Great.
Thanks for stopping by.
Oh, my pleasure, guys. Always a pleasure to sit down, and can't wait to talk. You know, I can't wait to hear this. How bad I sound online.
You're fine. Thanks again, man. We'll be in touch.
Fantastic.